Hi Year 12, welcome to your video tutorial. This video tutorial is intended for Stage 6 software engineering students studying the first unit of work for Year 12 Secure Software Architecture. Credits for the content and the knowledge in these video and accompanying slides goes to James King and his online resource on eForge, as well as the Year 11 software engineering course credits listed here. This video tutorial continues on the dot point of the benefits of developing secure software. So first off, in these slides, and I'll make links to this both below this YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube, or it will attach to the classroom page and also put in the playlist, is a video, two videos actually, by Computerphile, who's amazing at explaining really quite complex things. One is on SQL injection. The other one is on cross-site scripting. I won't play them embedded in this video because this would make it far too long. But please take some time to watch him and watch his explanation because he does quite aptly or quite accurately describe these two quite complex malicious tactics for testing the security of a piece of software. So what's this dot point about? Today we're going to particularly focus on vulnerabilities in the form of different ways to maliciously attack, I suppose, a piece of software, and ways that we can actually go about preventing that attack and protecting that data. Be that data the data of individuals within the software, so sensitive information, personal details, financial records, or actually data in terms of code and, structures within our code and, for our proprietary applications such as Instagram, or the information that is held within those applications. So how can we protect that? So first off, cyber attacks. Cyber attacks really come under three main headings. Those can first be a phishing attack. These are often socially engineered and are designed to trick users into providing personal information, such as, passwords. They do this by masquerading as a legitimate entity. So phishing attacks are anything from those thousands of text messages you get asking you to click on a link for your parcel, or emails that you get asking you to click here to change your bank account details. Phishing attacks are socially engineered. They are designed to really target the most vulnerable of our society. Again, they're masquerading as a legitimate entity, and when you click on one of those links, one of a number of different things attacks, usually something to do with malware, or it's a redirect to a non-legitimate website, and therefore in giving over your sensitive information, that is then captured and used often in a malicious way. Next one, DDoS and denial of service attacks. This is another type of cyber attack, which is again malicious. It doesn't really have any other function other than just being a bit annoying. And DDoSing happens when people who are actors, as we call them in this scenario, actors who decide to just be really annoying. Overload a system with whole lots of packets and whole lots of traffic and make it unavailable. So if something's vulnerable to a DDoS, if something's being DDoSed, the service it provides, if it's an online application, will often become unavailable or inaccessible to actual legitimate users of that. The third one, really easy, malware. Malicious software, viruses, ransomware, all designed to cause some kind of malicious, annoying vulnerability in your system. So how can you protect it? Two ways, two key ways, and we're going to tap into some of these as the course and as this unit evolves. One is encryption. When people think of encryption, however, they often think of, okay, once I've got the data, the usernames and passwords, wherever I store them, that must be encrypted. But you also have to think of not only encryption for data at rest, encryption in transit, so why that's being transferred over a network. Often encryption in transfer is one of its most vulnerable states. Thinking about real world examples of this, you see it all the time. with money being moved. They come in those big vans, they have weapons. It's the movement time. If you've ever watched a Hollywood movie, it's the movement time when the asset is being moved that it's vulnerable. Yes, you can protect it when it's at rest, but it's often in transit. One of the most common encryption types is AES encryption. I've got a bit of a diagram here. Obviously, I'm not going to delve into how AES actually works, but we will in the coming weeks. The next really interesting way, and the next really almost socially engineered way to protect data is with access controls, or like UACs use access controls, and in big businesses that's often role-based access. So for example, you might have a variety of stakeholders using that particular software application, but they have role-based access. So the example that I have here, if a security analyst is using the software, they can configure firewall settings on it, but they can't see the customer data. But a sales rep can see the customer data, but they can't touch the firewall settings. So really making sure you aggregate or compartmentalize who has access to what based on their role, rather than everyone just being able to access everything, is the best way to protect data. In terms of vulnerabilities, these were the two that were mentioned. Basically, a vulnerability in a system is a weakness or an entry point whereby which an attacker or an actor can cause harm. Vulnerabilities often happen from not having the foundations right. So those foundations that we went through last lesson, and not considering those key design principles. So the foundations of maintainability, reusability, abstraction, all of that stuff, having that foundation right, and then coding accordingly, modularization, having things in modules is really, really important. Also, having a very good quality assurance system. So when you're doing merge requests with Git, there's often a series of approvers there, and really having a lot of policy around who can approve, who can't approve, freeze windows or change freezes as to when changes can happen to a software is really, really, really important. A developer's least favorite person is the guy in Q&A, quality assurance, who will say, no, this is a bug, this isn't going to work, because they just give you more work to do. But they do have a very important role. Part of that was, the CloudStrike vulnerability from 2024. That was a merge request that shouldn't have been approved, that did get approved on a late Friday, and then took down 50% of the Microsoft world around the globe. So 2 things: SQL injection, cross-site scripting. SQL injection is often dealt with. Most systems aren't vulnerable to this. However, it's the insertion of SQL code into a username, password field, any particular type of field, and allowing you to actually use that input to attack whatever's on the back there, whatever's the database that's running that. And cross-site scripting, as the computer file video went through, is when you inject malicious scripts into web pages and then users unknowingly execute them. So that's it. They're the main vulnerabilities, the ways to protect data, and the cyber attacks that can exist in our software world.